we are the ones that wanna choose. Always wanna play, but you never wanna lose.
Hello.
Hello. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm having to move this green screen. Andrew, please entertain for 1 moment.
Yes, we're doing a live stream, Jesus. This is live, so, you're talking to us right now. And,
hey, Sus, that's our comrade.
I got, what'd you say?
Jesus is our comrade.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, cool. Awesome. We're live, Jesus, and I got a fidget spinner here to prove it. Remember these fidget spinners from 2018?
Oh my god.
I still have these
never
fidget
had
spinners.
one.
Yeah.
That was like, you guys were like, that was after. I'm too old for that. That was after.
I mean, originally they didn't really appeal to me, but then my old workplace gave us fidget spinners, just as like one of those gifts and such. I don't know, like one of those holiday things. It's like we're not gonna give you any holiday bonuses, but here's a fidget spinner.
Dude, check out what I have. One of these stress balls.
Nice.
You ever have those?
Yeah, I've had some stress balls in my day.
See, this is what I use when you're not around. I'm like, grr! And then when you're around, I'm like, Andrew. Only verbally, though. So, yes, I have my Christmas party hat on. Try not to be distracted by my fucking adorableness. But I felt like, classing it up. So I got my my little fascinator on. So what have you been up to, Sir Andrew?
Nothing much. Just getting over being sick. And here I am on the air. So, just doing a lot, probably more than I can handle. And getting sick because of it. But here we are. Yeah, so.
Andrew's like, can we do the show? Can we do a show Tuesday instead? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. You're sick, no problem. And then last night he's like, my fever's even worse. And I'm like, well, can you do it Wednesday? Because I'm like, I want to do our show. So, yeah. Like a good boy, he obeyed.
Here we are, yep. Always putting others before myself. It's a great trait I have.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it. So tonight we have some fun topics, as usual. And by fun, I mean some are fun, and some will piss you off, and some will be very predictable. But yeah, we have some gems, some ones other people aren't talking about mixed in, I'm sure. So yeah, let's get started, sir.
Yeah. So Howard Schultz, his own foundation that he funds, did a study, and not so good results came out from it. Now, couple of updates that have been happening with Starbucks as of late. So back in November, there were over 100 stores that struck on November 17th for 1 day over various things, right? Their union busting tactics, their terrible working conditions. And then starting December 16th, there was a 3-day strike of 100 stores as well for similar reasons. So, and I think
they were stores that were already unionized, correct?
Yeah, some of them have been already unionized, and a lot of these unionized stores have unfortunately closed, right, since then. And a lot of people have unjustifiably become fired. So it continues to be a battle, right? And so this is just fascinating because Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz Foundation has released a report that rates Starbucks as one of the worst large employers in the country for worker advancement. The Schultz Family Foundation published what it describes as an unprecedented study of economic outcomes for workers at America's 250 largest companies in partnership with Harvard Business School and the Burning Glass Institute. The study ranked major employers by how well they foster economic mobility for workers, including through opportunities for promotions, and they offer in low and middle skill roles. Starbucks earned one of the lowest ratings in the study, placing it in the bottom 50 of the surveyed companies, beneath brands with notably poor reputations for worker treatment, including Walmart and Dollar General. Within it, that's not a good category to be with. Yeah, when you're in the same category as Walmart, that is death. Wow. Within, and Dollar General too. That's within its industry category, food and health retail, Starbucks ranks second to last, scoring 2.6, ahead of only McDonald's, which scored 2.03. Costco, the leader in the category, received a 3.59. I have heard that Costco comparatively treats its workers better. Comparatively.
Well, they pay their CEO, because I know Bernie did some rallies. I'm not sure if it's from Vermont or what, but there's been many articles about their CEO like refusing to take more than X amount of dollars, and like they were making like $15 an hour way before we were even talking about it, and now they make over 20. So yeah, it is one of the better companies, and I believe they are union.
Okay, so that's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
But it sounds like too, they're unionized, and maybe there's more acceptance of the fact that they're unionized in some place like Starbucks. Right. I don't know. Yeah. The study gave each company an overall score based on 9 measures related to topics like pay and internal job mobility. Starbucks received the lowest possible rating on 3 of the 9 measures, including its wages and frequency of internal promotions. And so, yeah. And then they go into kind of the history of what, when Starbucks unionized. And then here, we're at 200, nearly 270 Starbucks stores have voted to unionize in the past year, right? The NLRB issued 2 complaints in recent weeks seeking a nationwide injunction on Starbucks anti-union activity. If federal judges side with the board, remember who the federal judges are, Starbucks will for the first time be barred by court order from anti-union activity nationwide, substantially increasing the potential penalties it could face for further union busting. So, yeah, that, I mean, can you imagine the foundation that you fund is saying how shitty of an employer you are?
I mean, Hillary still has that win. I mean, nobody's going to top the Clinton Foundation, but yeah. I mean, do you remember when this douche canoe ran for president?
He almost ran for president, but he decided not to. He looked into it.
Well, that's good. Because, oh my God. Yeah. But I think this is a good thing to point out because, once stores unionize, the fight's not over. I think this proves it. You are still in that fight. Yeah. You are still, it really depends on who the union steward is. It depends, do they bring in someone to be the union steward? Is it someone who's already worked there and knows the people and knows how things are run? Are they democratically elected? Like, these things are very important. So just unionizing is the very first step. Then it doesn't end. So, when stores that are already unionized are, striking, that's, that should, create everyone to pause a moment and think about, the fact that people shouldn't stop talking about this.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I think that I do when there is all this anti-union busting activity that makes things harder for workers itself. That within itself is a union busting tactic in the sense where workers see how much fighting there still is after all the work they use to unionize themselves. And
Yes.
so it does, I imagine, for a lot of people who work for Starbucks, right? Or any other kind of similar businesses to Starbucks, seeing all the trouble, they have to wonder, like, is it really worth it, right? Going through all this trouble. And so, unfortunately, that just kind of feeds into the whole anti-union narrative. And, if our government actually enforced the more labor laws that were in the books to begin with, this wouldn't be an issue as much. But here we are.
But I also want to say, a lot of people that claim to be leftists or whatever, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, they're posting pictures of themselves making like ornaments out of Starbucks coffee cups and stuff. Okay, so can we just like acknowledge the fact that when you are a patron of Starbucks, you are enabling exactly what they're doing. You are saying it's okay. You are saying, I mean, you could say, oh, how they treat workers is shit, but if you keep giving them your money, you're a fucking hypocrite, period. You need to either stop going or accept the fact that you are just doing nothing but just perpetuating the fact that they're still going to keep making money while they treat their employees like garbage. Things aren't going to change while people are still giving their fucking $8 for a coffee and shit. Like, no, if you support the workers, stop going. There are a million mom and pop coffee places. You do not need to go to the one that treats their employees like garbage that you say you support. Like, don't be a hypocrite. Fuck them.
No, for sure. I haven't really seen many people doing that, but that's wild. So, yeah. Don't go on Twitter, I guess. That's the main thing.
It's hard not, it's one of those things where you're like, why the fuck do I go on here? And then you're like, I can't stop going on here. So it's a very weird kink. It's a very weird distraction and addiction. And yes, it fucks with your mental health. So yay! Yay for that!
Yeah. And a lot of people that are on Twitter are sociopaths that are just using Twitter to fulfill a void in their life that they don't have.
Right.
Anyway, so sorry. What?
I use it for support. I don't get in real life. That's what I use it for. I'm like, oh yay, comrades who also fight the good fight. Awesome. And I get messages like, thank you for your activism and organizing and stuff. And I'm like, yes, I never hear that in real life. That is so amazing. Yeah. And that's why I love interacting with people so much. It's like, and not that I'm using people. I'm not. I'm just saying I welcome it, and it makes me feel like warm and tingly. What's that?
Yeah. I said user. No, I'm just kidding.
No, never. It gives me the warm fuzzies when I hear people, when I know that I'm supported.
Well, though we could all use some warm fuzzies.
Warm fuzzies.
For our lives, yeah. So, Anyway, speaking of
No, Miguel, I love you to pieces. Stop. See, damn it, I knew that was gonna happen. Every time we try to be funny, it's just like, no, I didn't mean it like that. It's
yeah. Yeah. So
weird.
anyway, Mayor Adams, speaking of horrible people, so do you want me to read this article?
Yeah, I mean, well, first I want to say, like, I honestly didn't even know if I should use this as one of my stories because he's so fucking awful that I feel like we could talk about him every week. And you know, I don't understand why people voted for him, but they did, and he is more and more like I honestly feel like he tries to top how awful he was the day before, because I kind of refuse to believe someone could be this fucking pathetic, although I'm sure he is.
Yeah. So Mayor Adams has a message for New York City's Tax the Rich promoting progressives Wednesday. Get out of town. It blows my mind when I hear, so what if they leave? No, you leave, Adams said of people on the political left, questioning why the city needs ultra-wealthy residents. I want my high-income workers right here. Adams was speaking at a breakfast event on Wall Street. Of course, that's like when their true colors come out. Just like whatever they say at Wall Street breakfasts. That's, hosted by the Association for a Better New York, and drew applause from the crowd of corporate and civic leaders for his lefty bashing remarks. Love how half this article is filled with advertisements. Elaborating on his broad side, the mayor made the case that deep-pocketing New Yorkers play a critical role in the city's economy due to their high tax rates. 1% by 2% of New Yorkers. I want the person who drives the limousine to pay a good wage, and the person sitting in the back of the limousine to continue to use their discretionary funds to get our restaurants to our hotels. The mayor's comments drew withering pushback from progressive Democrats on Twitter. Can't wait for voters to clap back and tell Zahner to leave. Joshua Soberman, a one-time Democratic congressional on Long Island, tweeted. Never heard of him. Interesting. He also took aim at the New York City press corps, claiming they always look at the worst part of our day and highlight that over and over again. That's one thing I actually agree with.
But the thing is, he's just getting defensive because he says so many garbage things, and afterward, he's just taking part of that.
Yeah.
I think him.
I will say, and I don't know if he's talking specifically about this. We'd have to get into a little bit more specifics into what specifically he's talking about that the media over focuses on. Maybe in this case, he's talking about how they over-focus on corruption of the 1%, which that would be BS. But I think it is fair to alternatively say that particularly, the media is trying to overstate crime rates in New York to try and, continue to give pro-police propaganda and such, right?
I would love to know who these senators are that are cheering with him. That's what I want to know.
Well,
are they New York senators?
I mean, that's true. I think it's very possible they could be New York senators since, it'd be the easiest for them to get to where he's speaking. So in that case, that would leave us with Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand.
And maybe AOC can show up in her fancy white Met Gala dress.
Maybe. I mean, did they specifically say senators, or did they say representatives of New York? Because
it could have said representatives. Yeah, regardless, I'd love to know who those names are.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that Adams is such a dumbass that he's actually honest, which usually honesty is a good thing, and rare in politics, because you do have like Queen Hillary, who was like, you have to have a public position and a private position. He's just flat out like, nope. He'll just say it anywhere. So I guess I'll give him that.
Although, like, this was a behind the scenes event that was reported upon.
Yeah, but they still quoted him. So there were still people in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, he does say a lot of awful things to the general public as well. So, he is pretty consistent. And, I mean, I think it just shows once again, he was a Republican. He used to be a Republican. And
a cop.
Yeah, and a cop. And here he is.
I wouldn't say used to be a cop. He's very much a cop. Oh, and speaking of which, okay, so it's on my Twitter. I digress a little, but I did want to point this out on this topic of New York and cops. AOC just voted against a bill in the House that was to give more training to police officers to use A, less force, and B, be trained on working with mental health people who are called, who have the cops called on them, meaning people who are having suicidal thoughts, depression, psychotic break, whatever, to receive training to de-escalate that so it doesn't come down to violence. Okay, AOC just voted against that. The receipts are on my Twitter if you want to see.
And it's been interesting that she has been tweeting a lot less since some of her most recent votes.
Hey, she loves to tweet clapbacks to the Republicans. That's all she does. She's like, oh, this Republican said this. I'm just going to go back at him because I'm such a badass. And it's pretty much all she tweets about.
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, queen.
Yeah. Jenna Colby says, fuck Starbucks, but a lot of mom and pop places treat their employees like garbage too. This is true. And just like, this brings me back to, this was like 5-6 months ago now, but this local sandwich store nearby me, their employees voted to unionize. And it was very, it was interesting. The pushback was very different than what you would get at a corporation, because here people are like, oh, the owners are so nice. Oh, this is just gonna, that you should do this to corporations, but that actually have money to unionize. But they're gonna fire workers. They're gonna do it, and that still didn't work. They still voted to unionize, and so I think it does sort of have a kind of an effect. People all around, they see all these places unionizing, and they're like, all right, well, this mom and pop place that I'm working for, we're going to do the same thing here. So, for sure.
I think, and I mean, that's so true. And fuck anyone who treats their employees poorly. But I think there is a difference between, being a patron of an entire machine and being a patron of someone who lives up the block. I do think there is a big difference, because when you are a patron to a bajillion-dollar corporation who has control over thousands of employees' lives, I think that is different on a different scale. But now, I mean, I wouldn't go to anyone if I knew they treated their employees horribly. I mean, that's for certain.
I mean, I think no matter what, workers deserve a livable wage, decent wage, a decent treatment, no matter who you're working for. And so, I mean, I think the plus too is that, it's harder for a mom and pop store to union bust you because they don't have as much power in that sense. But
Yeah.
So, all right. Talking a little bit about something that really has not been talked about too much at all. I kind of was aware that this happened back in September, but I'll admit I kind of forgot about it as well. So just to kind of get everybody up to speed, I'm going to pull up this article, World Socialist website, that gives sort of a rundown of the whole situation that have the Nord Stream pipeline, right? So this is from September 28th. There were powerful underwater explosions that blew gaping holes in Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines, which carry Russian natural gas under the Baltic Sea to Germany. Okay? So you can imagine that there's a lot of theories as to what it is when you include that it's the Russian natural gas, right?
Right.
And so, and so tens of billions of dollars in infrastructure vital to financing Russia's economy and powering and heating the German and European economy lay in ruins from it. And said, as the U.S. and NATO wage war against Russia and Ukraine, this event points to the reckless military escalation underway in Europe. And so, of course, the European media is going to instantly accuse Russia of bombing their own pipelines, which, of course, that didn't really hold much weight. Even the New York Times, the king of, trying to find any reason to go to war for anything, was kind of like, that's a little too far. I don't think they would bomb their own pipelines. And so even American officials were cautious, noting the lack of available evidence. And so, but here we have somebody who's actually accusing yours truly, the country that me and Joy are currently sitting in right now, former Polish foreign minister, I'm going to butcher this name, Radek Sikorski, member of several NATO think tanks, who is married to prominent U.S. foreign policy commentator Ann Applebaum, suggested openly that Washington was behind the bombing. And interestingly enough,
when you said yours truly, I legit thought it was going to say Andrew Bleep. And I was like, damn, Andrew. Yo, you're about to get pulled off the air by Sia. Sorry, I was just like, what? Yours truly?
Was not me. Was not me. So, and so, yeah. And so, of course, it would present two benefits, right? It would help fuel more anti-Russian war propaganda if you could try and say Russia did it. And then it also could make Europe more dependent on U.S. natural gas imports to replace Russian gas, right? And so, and it was interestingly enough, on February 7th, 2022, Joe Biden invited the German chancellor for talks. And during a joint press conference, Biden pledged to destroy Nord Stream 2 pipeline. If Russia invades, Biden said, then there will no longer be a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it. So this was February, before September when it happened. That's just interesting.
Very coincidental.
Very coincidental. Biden sometimes just like says things out of his ass, though. So gotta be fair. Maybe he just was saying shit. And so,
no, excuse me. He's wise.
He's wise. Yeah. He's got a great heart.
Or wise.
It's his stutter. It's his stutter, though. Like sometimes when you stutter,
he's racist. It's his stutter.
Yeah, it's his stutter. When people stutter, sometimes they just, it comes out that they're gonna bomb something that they don't.
And really sometimes when you stutter, you sniff little kids' hair. I mean, it happens.
It happens.
Don't be ableist. Accept it.
I know. So this is Mick Wallace, who brings a very interesting question. So, Mick Wallace, he is an Irish
A badass.
politician. What?
A badass.
Badass, yeah. And so this is him on the floor. And he doesn't directly say who it is, but it's just, it's interesting how he brings back this whole Nord Stream that everybody seems to have forgotten about in this clip.
You gotta show the video.
Fuck my life. All right.
Initially, of
All
course,
right, let's go back to the beginning.
when Nord Stream was damaged, there was uproar from politicians and mainstream media across Europe for about 24 hours. And then it seemed to have disappeared. Now, for the life of me, I was shocked that it could go down the list of major items in the news so quickly. Initially, of course, the Russians were blamed. But confidence kind of prevailed, and they kind of thought, well, if the Russians don't want any gas going through the pipelines, they can actually turn the tap off on their end. And if they were going to blow it up, I don't think they'd blow it up quite so close to Germany or Sweden. So who did blow it up? This was one of the worst releases of methane in the history of mankind. It was environmental terrorism. I, for the life of me, don't understand why the EU doesn't want to know who did it. This is a disgrace. What is wrong with us? This is an unbelievable destructive act, and we don't want to know who did it? Is it because we know the answer? Or is it because it's the wrong answer?
And that I just find so interesting what he says, because that is really just how manufacturing consent works, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the media, there's a crisis, and don't get me wrong, this is a crisis. It's when it's a convenient culprit, it's widely on the news, because it's like, all right, we want to continue to stoke hatred for this country, for this entity. So they keep doing it. And then when they get to the point where they don't even find evidence that they can even, when they can even just defend, then all of a sudden it's forgotten, right? And so, yeah, I'm not saying, I don't know who's behind it, but you do have to wonder if they are not continuing to visibly investigate. Someone maybe said, hey, bad shit's gonna happen if you keep investigating this. So maybe just forget it. So
Absolutely. Mick and oh my god,
Rainer.
my mind went blank. Huh?
Rainer, right?
No, Mick and
I know who you're talking
or
about.
Dally.
Yeah. Dally, yeah.
Just the two, they're not even politicians. They're activists who happen to be in parliament.
Mick fucking goes on the floor with a fucking t-shirt.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. They're badasses. They speak like the protesters and activists they are. They do not back down to anyone, and it's fucking beautiful. Both of them are just amazing. If only we had more.
If only. So yeah. Now you wanted to talk about a tweet that you saw going after Shama Sawant, right?
So DSA. Many of us have been on DSA for 2 years, maybe. They are an extension of the Dems. They are. They are full of electoral politics. They very much promote the Dems. they very much give props to the Dems. They run candidates on the Dem ticket. They really have nothing to do with socialism or democratic socialism whatsoever. They tried to capitalize on the word that Bernie brought to, that got coverage or whatever. And so many of us have known that they've been frauds from like just forever now. But okay, so here is, now this is supposedly the caucus of DSA. Now, the issue with this is, now you're going to, when you look into this, people are going to say, well, it's not the official DSA account and blah, blah, blah. They were tagged on it 1,000,000 times. People were going after them like crazy, and never once did they tell them to delete that post, and never once did they come out and say that does not represent DSA as a whole. Not once. They have yet to comment on it, and this was days ago. So whether it's that account or a different DSA account, they have not told them to remove it or stated they disagree. So they're condoning it, whatever, they can go fuck themselves. But yeah, Andrew, if you want to read this, well, first, why don't you read Kashama's tweet?
All but one of squad crossed the picket line, voting with Dem Rep majority to break rail workers' strike. A socialist can't be a strike breaker. This should result in expulsion from DSA. Failing that, the squad's betrayal of workers becomes DSA's betrayal.
Where's the lie? Is none. So this is this wonderful DSA account's response.
Openly organizing for your ultra-left cult within DSA is an expellable offense. Headtreism is forbidden by our bylaws. Disagreeing with ultra-left positions on things is not an expellable offense in a democratic socialist organization.
So, cult? Cult? Are you fucking kidding me? A cult holding politicians accountable is a cult. Actually, DSA is a cult. And a lot of us have learned that over the past year. And telling people what they can and cannot say is a cult. And also, how unprofessional could you be? Well, first of all, why didn't you tag her ass? You're so fucking brave. Second of all, how unprofessional can you possibly be than to take one of your members, screenshot them, and be like, this is an offense that could get you terminated and blah, blah, blah. Do you maybe want to call her and have this discussion with her? No, you're going to come out. They look like such frauds, and they are. They showed themselves so hard with this. If people still support DSA, I don't know. They've lost their damn minds. Because it's not like Kashama's like untouchable, but like what it comes down to is she was criticizing people who deserved to be criticized. They did not stand for what they say they stand for and what DSA says they stand for. And she's not allowed to criticize them? She's being threatened? Hell no.
Yeah,
what do you think, Andrew, when I sent you this?
I mean, I saw that tweet before. You can find I commented on it and I said, what an absurd thing to say. I think, there's a lot of structural issues clearly with DSA. They're decentralized and there's a lot of these accounts that just like do shit like this, right? And I think people need to realize, I mean, hell, like even with People's Voice Network, right? Got to be careful even what you put down the network I'm with, because you represent everybody that's a part of this, right? And so there doesn't seem to be, at least with a lot of these accounts that I'm noticing, like, you're representing an entire organization. Yeah, it's decentralized. People don't know that. And you're representing the whole entire organization, and it's going to turn a lot of people off. And that tweet I just found disgusting. And it overshadows any possible good thing that DSA does. There are parts of DSA that are doing what they can with the labor movement. And of course, a tweet like this completely erases any of those efforts. And so, yeah, this tweet really, it annoyed me. It is aggravating, and I find it incredible that any type of account that even represents any area of an organization would have the gall to post something so ridiculous. Ultra leftist cult. Are you like part of the K Hive now?
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up. So
she's literally talking about workers' rights, and that's an ultra left cult thing to say.
Yeah. So
incredible. I mean, I don't doubt that there are good people within chapters of DSA,
yeah,
but I've personally interacted with two who have been awful. The one in DC, we reached out to and said, do you want to work with our march, blah, blah, blah. And they literally said, unless we get a speaking spot, no. Which I'm like, wow, you're fucking gross. And the one in, I want to say it was Georgia, when we did our 57 or 56 marches in 2021, they had it so that they put a separate link to DSA's page and said, sign up for our march on this link. And they took out our link and put their own link. So people in that state who were signing up for our march were signing up for DSA newsletters. Shady as fuck. So those are the kind of people I've dealt with within DSA. Doesn't mean they're all like that, but that's when I started like really, I mean, half the time people are assholes to me online. They have a fucking rose in their bio. And I'm like, people still do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think so. A couple of things that come to mind with this, right? Like, frustrating to see. Shaba Sawat has dealt with a lot worse things and a lot more powerful entities coming at her, right? So, like, this obviously is not going to end her. She's been taken on Amazon, and Amazon hasn't even ended her. She's dealt with recall election. She managed to not get recalled. So, like, this is crumbs compared to other shit that Shaba Sawat has had to deal with. So I want to make that clear, right? It is on Twitter, and DSA in this sense, this account doesn't have that much power. But that being said, you do have to realize that if you are part of an organization and you have it in your bio that you're part of that organization and it's in your Twitter name, right? And it's actually an account that represents a caucus within that certain organization, you need to actually be a little bit more thoughtful of how you represent yourself, because that's what a lot of people are going to see.
And that's exactly why DSA National had the obligation to come out and comment if they actually cared to.
They could have.
And there's no way they didn't see it, because people were for days, they've been posting screenshots in every single one of their posts. Mm-hmm. And they're tagged so many times throughout this post. They know. There's no question. So the fact that you didn't say, hey, you need to take this down, or come out and say, we disagree. Fuck y'all. Fuck you. I don't care. that means to me, you agree. Go fuck yourself.
And on that note, go fucking yourselves. Hi,
Elizabeth.
So, we're approaching this, well, before our funny ending from someone you probably will know. We're going to bring up this. This is good because my voice is about to just stop working. So, here we have. So, should I just read this?
Yeah, so if you want to read the original tweet first.
After our generation won the midterms for Biden, he quickly
the original tweet.
Biden backs Manchin permitting proposal. I support Senator Manchin's permitting reform proposal as a way to cut America's energy bills, promote U.S. energy security, and boost our ability to get energy projects built and connected to the grid. And so, should I read the statement?
You don't have to. Well, you guys can see it. It's on my Twitter. But yeah, if you want to read Sunrise Movement's response.
After our generation won the midterms for Biden, he quickly abandoned us. This is a massive blow to Biden's legacy on climate.
So, where do I start? You had members, Sunrise Movement, actual members, who went up to Biden and said, we're part of Sunrise Movement. We want to ask you to stop taking fossil fuel money. And what did he say? I don't work for you. That's what he said. Y'all endorsed him anyway. That's your fault. You were not duped. You knew damn right fucking well who you were dealing with. And y'all just sat there naively, like, you know, with cognitive dissonance, thinking, oh, well, maybe he'll change. We can move on to the left. It'll work. You had 40 years of receipts. Dude doesn't give a fuck. He is like literally anti helping the climate. Everything he does shows that. And now you're saying that's his legacy? Your legacy is saying you're activists, saying you care about the environment, and thinking you are putting an iota of faith and hope into this piece of garbage who never even hinted at giving you a morsel of what you're asking for. That's your legacy.
Yeah.
Pathetic. Absolutely fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
I don't work for you. You know, we're going to endorse him, and we're going to help him win, because, you know, we hope that then he'll, you know, help us. And listen, fuckers, you already got your votes. He doesn't give a fuck. When you're looking for votes, that's when you use that leverage. We won't vote for you unless. That's what you do. Y'all didn't do that. Y'all said, stick your finger in our face. Tell us you don't work for us. Tell us you won't stop taking fossil fuel money. We'll still go, okay, sir, we'll vote for you and campaign for you. Bow down, lick his boots, and now act all shocked because he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I think that's most frustrating about these groups is they really do manage to mobilize a lot of people, particularly a lot of young people. And then the energy always just gets co-opted to electing Biden. Yeah, like that part
is like a lot of, you know, people try to, you know, rationalize things like endorsing Biden. But here's the thing people always fail to realize. Nobody is obligated to endorse anyone. They endorsed Bernie. Bernie dropped. They weren't obligated to endorse Biden. I don't give a fuck if he's the only person. I don't give a fuck if you think he's going to win. I don't care. You are not obligated to endorse anyone. That was your choice. So that's your legacy.
Yep. So, yeah, that's what we got for our serious topics.
So I received a text message from Ron Pacone, my buddy, and he sent me this video of a Christmas song. So we're going to play that for you. Also, he and I talked on the phone the other day. We are going to be starting our monthly show together again. And so that's exciting. So that's going to start back up in next month. But yes, here is his song he sent me. And everyone have an incredible holiday and all that fun stuff. We'll do a New Year's show. Let's do like a best of the worst. Last year, oh my God, last year for New Year's Eve, didn't we do the most cringe of 2021?
Maybe.
I don't know if you did that with me. I think it was me and Andy. But yeah, we did the most cringe moments of 2021. And I had people on Twitter submit what moments and oh my God, we had so much fun with that. We'll do that again. That was fun. So yeah, if you have any, send them to me on Twitter because, oh yeah, let's make it fun. Let's just make fun of people who make our lives hell. It's fun. So yes, have a great holiday. Much love to all of you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. Andrew, do you have any holiday wishes for anyone?
Stay alive.
That's good advice.
Should we show Rod? Because we're gonna end with it. End with it. Yeah, just stay alive.
That's the spirit.
All right. Cool.
Well, you better not tweet, you better not strike, you better not protest, I'm telling you why. Bezos is surveilling your town. Bezos is surveilling your town. Bezos is surveilling your town. He's making a list, he's checking it twice. He won't hesitate to send it to ICE. Bezos is surveilling your town. Bezos is surveilling your town. Bezos is surveilling your town. And he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you want a Green New Deal. So you better just shut your mouth and wait. You better just shut your mouth and wait. You better not tweet, you better not strike. You better not protest, I'm telling you why. Bezos is surveilling your town. Bezos is surveilling your town. Bezos is surveilling your town.
Love you guys. Have a good holiday.
Recording just
Stay
got back.
safe.
Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard.